The night the bells rang by themselves, Michael Alvarez was stocking canned soup in a quiet Boston grocery store, wondering how the world had become so loud yet so lonely. It was just past midnight. Snow pressed against the windows like a held breath. The store's radio crackled with half-finished headlines: "Wars far away, anger closer to home, another prediction about the end of things." Michael turned the volume down. He'd had enough of warnings. His mother used to say, "Fear makes people deaf to kindness." Michael didn't know why that thought came to him then. He only knew that when the church bells across the street began to ring, slow, solemn, and unmistakably human, he felt something shift inside his chest. The church had been closed for years. Michael wasn't especially religious. He believed in being decent, in holding doors open, in helping neighbors shovel snow. That was his faith. After his father died during the pandemic, and his mother followed a year later, he learned that survival often came down to small mercies: someone checking in, someone listening. So when he saw an elderly man standing outside the locked church doors, coat too thin for the cold, Michael did what came naturally. "Sir," he called, grabbing his scarf. "You okay?" The man turned slowly. His eyes were clear, almost luminous, as if reflecting something Michael couldn't see. "They're ringing again," the man said softly. "The bells." Michael glanced up. "Silence now." "I didn't hear anything." The man smiled. Not sadly, not happily, but knowingly. "Not everyone does." Against his better judgment, Michael unlocked the church with the spare key the store owner kept for emergencies. Inside, the air smelled of old wood and candle wax. Moonlight spilled across the pews. The man introduced himself simply as Antonio. He spoke with a gentle Italian accent and walked with a limp. They sat near the altar, the quiet settling like snow. "Have you heard of Padre Pio?" Antonio asked. Michael nodded vaguely. "A saint, right? A man," Antonio corrected kindly. "A man who saw what others could not, and suffered because of it." Antonio spoke of visions Padre Pio once shared in private, not of fire raining from the sky, but of a world growing colder in spirit. Of families divided by fear. Of technology outpacing compassion. Of a warning, not meant to terrify, but to awaken. "And the Virgin Mary?" Michael asked, surprising himself with the question. Antonio's gaze lifted to the faded statue near the altar. "She did not warn of destruction," he said. "She warned of indifference." Michael felt a chill that had nothing to do with winter. Over the next few weeks, Michael found himself returning to the church after work. Antonio was always there, as if waiting. They spoke about ordinary things: work, grief, the strange way time seemed to fold in on itself these days. Yet every conversation circled back to one quiet truth: the world wasn't ending because of hatred alone, but because of how easy it had become to look away. One night, Antonio handed Michael a worn notebook. "Read," he said. Inside were sketches, prayers, and reflections, some dated decades earlier, some written in a hand that looked impossibly young. One page stopped Michael cold. "The great event will not begin with fire, but with silence. The test will be whether we choose one another." "Who wrote this?" Michael asked. Antonio only smiled. "Does it matter?" Then, as suddenly as he had appeared, Antonio stopped coming. In early spring, the city changed. Not all at once, not dramatically, just quietly. Power outages rolled across neighborhoods. Supply chains faltered. News anchors spoke faster, smiled less. Social media buzzed with rumors. Something big is coming in 2026. They're not telling us everything. Fear, once again, was loud. One evening, as Michael walked home, he saw a woman sitting on the curb, crying, her phone shattered beside her. Without thinking, he sat down. "I don't know what to do," she said. "My kids are scared. I'm scared." Michael listened. That was all. But it mattered. Word spread. About the grocery clerk who stayed late to help seniors, about the small church that reopened its doors not for sermons, but for soup, warmth, and conversation. Michael didn't lead it. He simply showed up. Others followed. A Muslim family brought food. A Jewish doctor offered free checkups. A retired teacher from Toronto visiting her daughter organized reading circles for kids anxious about the future. Differences faded in the glow of shared concern. One night, as tensions peaked worldwide, Markets trembling, leaders arguing. Michael stood in the church kitchen, exhausted. He opened Antonio's notebook again. A final entry he hadn't noticed before read, "When the world expects thunder, let there be bread. When it expects prophecy, let there be presence." Michael understood then. The shocking global event wasn't a disaster, it was a choice. The moment when humanity would either retreat into fear or step forward in compassion. The emotional climax came not with headlines, but with a single act. During a citywide blackout, a newborn in the neighborhood stopped breathing. Phones were dead, hospitals overwhelmed, people panicked. Michael ran. He remembered the retired doctor, the candles, the warmth of the church. Strangers became a team, one holding light, another clearing space, another praying in a whisper that transcended language. The baby cried. Outside, sirens wailed. Inside, people wept with relief. In that moment, Michael felt it, the presence Antonio had hinted at. Not a vision in the sky, but something far more powerful, humanity choosing itself. He turned, expecting to see Antonio. Instead, he saw the statue of Mary, her painted eyes soft, almost alive in the candlelight. For just a second, only a second, Michael could have sworn she smiled. By the time 2026 arrived, the world was still imperfect. Some warnings came true, others didn't. But something had changed. People remembered. They remembered that kindness was louder than fear. That selflessness could interrupt even the darkest predictions. That visions, holy or human, meant nothing unless they moved us to act. Michael never claimed to understand Padre Pio's visions or the Virgin Mary's warning fully. He only knew this: the future isn't written in catastrophe. It's written in compassion. And every day, quietly, all over the world, from Boston to London to Toronto, ordinary people were picking up the pen.